like Isaac Newton, H.P. Lovecraft, some of the greatest geniuses we've ever worshipped, that are the most beneficial people to our culture and our art and our science, were socially fucked up.
Yeah.
And it just took them being locked in a room or like whatever, focusing on whatever they were focusing on, and somebody just reaching out. Like Isaac Newton famously with Edmund Halley. It's like, hey, Isaac, I know you're working on that whole like figuring out when Jesus is going to come back from the Bible thing, but like, you think you can figure out why this comet goes around every 72 years? And he's like, yeah, sure. And then he invented calculus.
Really?
And everything we do now is based on that. Like every bit of planetary science, the law of gravity is all based on Newton's theorems.
Holy shit.
You know what I mean?
No, I had no idea.
Yeah, dude probably died of virgin.
I had no clue.
So like, I'm not in this business of like putting people down for just like not fitting in. Like I think that everyone has something to offer.
Right?
Yeah. That was kind of long-winded.
No, you're fine. I think that gives a lot of hope to people, especially people that feel like they don't believe like they fit in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't fit in, man. I was a weird motherfucker in school. Like, I don't know what it was.
I was angry.
I was definitely, I think every teenage boy's angry, but you had a lot more reason to be angry at that time.
Yeah, I was like just really self-destructive and angry all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was kind of like the black sheep of my family for a while. Like nobody wanted to talk to me.
You know what's weird is like objectively, I am the black sheep of my family. Like, I'm the one who did everything wrong. I was, on my mom's side at least, I was the oldest of the 4 boys. And I was the one who like listened to death metal and dressed like Marilyn Manson. And, I was the first one who definitely like started experimenting with the stuff and all that. Like I was crazy, objectively. And yet, like, as an adult, like, my grandmother loves me. She thinks, like, I'm the golden child all of a sudden. Like, my brother was valedictorian in high school and a football player and the whole, like, everything you want in a son.
Right.
But, like...
a TV show son.
No offense, Derek, but I'm the favorite.
Nah.
And I don't know why. I think it's just... if I had to give advice to anybody, like, just unapologetically be your fucking self.
Yeah. That's fair. I feel like once I joined the military, my family specifically like started respecting me a lot more.
Really? Is that it?
Yeah, I feel like that's what...
They tried to talk me out of it. That's how against it they were. They were like...
Really?
Yeah. Man, when my dad was like having a serious sit down with me, he's like, are you serious? Like, because he was like, this is not like you. That's the thing. He's like, this is like nothing like you. Of all the things that I would imagine my son, as I just described to you, would do, the military was the last thing. But I was like, I made up my mind. And he thought I was doing it just for a girl. And to be honest, he was right.
There's a couple of things I really like about the military, like what it's done to me. Because I remember prior military, I really didn't know how to handle my anger or how to handle like my outbursts or something like that. I always thought it was like, oh, this is just who I am. I'm just an angry person, like... I can't control it. I can't do this. I always used to think like, if I don't get my sleep in, like, then I'm just going to have a miserable day. I'm just going to be a dick. I'm just going to be an asshole to everybody. This is who I am. But coming into the military, like, you learn, like, man, like, you're not the only one here that goes through that shit. Everybody's going through that.
Yeah.
Like, get over yourself, and I love that. I love that, like,
you're part of something bigger than you.
Yes, and I love that they teach you how to like keep your bearing. That was something really big for me. Was like understanding how to control myself when shit hits the fan and like nothing's going your way and people are screaming at you, people are yelling at you, people are telling you like, you're not this, you're not that, whatever. Remember going through basic and what like a culture shock that was? Like, you just hear fucking Reveille every morning.
I felt like basic for me was very easy. Like,
I hated basic.
I'd go back through basic, right? If for enough money, I'd go back. I wouldn't go back through tech school, but I'd definitely.
Fuck no.
Basic was easy.
I fucking hated it.
All you have to do is just shut up and do what they tell you.
No, man, I got a fucking U. Like, like you can only get 2 U's in basic and then you're done. I got my first U on like my third day there. And they like they made me like the example for the flight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they were screaming at me in the fucking thing. Like,
what is the deal with
one more time?
You're always the scapegoat. Like, you're always, like, there's something about you, and I don't know what it is, but people just want to fucking target you. Like,
my brother says the same thing.
It's like, you're, for some reason, always the person that people just, like, zero in. I swear to God, you and me could stand next to each other in front of, like, the SDO, do exactly the same thing, and you would get in trouble and I wouldn't.
Yeah, that's pretty common. It's pretty normal for me. And my brother has told me the same exact thing. Like, dude, like, for some reason, like, I just get something out of people.
Yeah.
And I don't do anything different. I'm just myself, really. But, I don't know. It's been like that my whole life, I think. Like,
maybe it's like your
teenager.
pheromones. Maybe it's like the way you smell or something.
I don't know.
I don't know what it is. It's like, it's so weird, like, because there's so many intangible factors in how people react to you. It's like, how do you carry yourself? What's your tone? What are your eyes doing? That kind of shit. And people judge you, like, subconsciously. They don't even think about it. They just do that. And then once they've made up your mind, like, that guy's a shitbag, 99% of the time, people do. First impressions are everything.
Yeah, even my acting class, the one I love, the one I was talking to you about.
Yeah.
People actually didn't want to talk to me for a
Yeah.
really long time. People used to like avoid me because they thought I was too crazy. I was too depressing. I was too angry. Really, I was just that's what I was. I was an angry, depressed teenager. But I mean, all I wanted to do was to like learn from these people. I wanted to understand where they were coming from, and I would do my acting scenes with these people, and a lot of times they would just be like, don't invite him to go out. Don't invite him to do this. Chris is just, he's weird. He's this, he's that. And, I've always kind of felt like an outsider in everything that I do, no matter where I am. And I recognize it now as an older guy, a little older. I'm like 27 now almost. I'm just feeling like this is just the norm. Like,
yeah.
This is who I am, and if you don't like it, well, I can't help you. This is who I am. So,
like, do you think that because you were so uncomfortable in your own skin that, like, acting was, like, a natural progression for you because you got to pretend to be something else and, like, get outside of yourself?
No. As a matter of fact, acting was really important for me because I want to say I found it when I was around 16, 17.
Yeah.
And because I had gone through PTSD so severely, I'd read a story about a character that had PTSD. It was actually what's that person that wrote that story called The Raven?
Edgar Allan Poe.
Yes. So there was a story called...
Keep yammering. I'm going to pee while you talk.
There was a story called I Might Be Edgar Allan Poe. And this...
Hold on. I got to walk closer to the microphone. Keep telling the story because I think it's important to tell.
You want me to just pause?
No. But you told me this the first night we met.
Oh.
At the party at Jake's house.
Oh. Maybe we should just pause.
No. Keep going. Well,
I mean, it's not like I can't just edit it out.
Tell the story. Tell it. Don't fucking pause it. Just go.
Roger that.
It's a good story. I want to hear it again because I was shit-faced the first time I heard it.
I got to pee too.
Oh, well then pause it. Okay. Edit that out. I don't care. I'm going to cross the streams. Leave that in.
Should I just pause?
Alright, so Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
You might be him.
That was the story's name. It was I Might Be Edgar Allan Poe. And I read this story in front of a classroom because I wasn't very good at debate. I was in a debate class. And in debate, you have to speak like 4 times the normal speed and reiterate like as much information as possible. So instead, my teacher was like, look, Chris, you can speak really well in front of classes, but this debate thing, it's just not working out. Like, okay. And I didn't know what this story was. I didn't know where it came from. He just placed it in my hand. And I remember reading it in front of the class. And I almost broke out into tears because it was about a guy that was... He was clearly...
Gay.
No. He was clearly like super depressed and super influenced by this one experience he had by accidentally killing a girl. He had thrown her off a building. It was burning. And he constantly remembers how her body had, exploded on the pavement. And he hated himself for that. And he always blamed himself. And eventually he went crazy and started to think he might be Edgar Allan Poe after reading all these stories. And these doctors, they didn't think that he was right in the head and blah, blah, blah. And so I connected with that so clearly that I didn't try, didn't fake anything. I was just feeling like this person. And he was like, look, man, are you okay? I remember like after I had read it, it was almost like I came out of a portal or something. He's like, hey, that was really good. Like that was amazing. That was incredible. And all the students in class were like quiet. They were like, whoa, like what did you just do? And I remember looking at them like I didn't do anything. I just read it. I didn't do anything at all. I was just reading you a story. And they're like, no, you should do that for a competition. So I remember my first competition. I had done it, and I had just done it like I did before. I was just reading it and connecting with this piece. And same thing. It was like a reoccurring thing. Every single time I would do this at a different high school for a competition. And I would keep getting number one. And most kids in school thought I was either weird or I was crazy or I was angry or something. But when they would hear my name over the intercom, like Chris Guerrero wins first place for poetry and prose division.
Oh, dude, we would have beat your ass in school.
No. Everybody would come up to me and be like, you did that? Like, congratulations, dude. Like, that's crazy.
No, that's funny.
And I was like, kind of insecure. So I would like look at them like, are you fucking with me? Are you lying to me? You know what I mean? But I remember, it like gave me the confidence to like want to do a play. So I got in contact with my theater teacher at the time in high school. Her name was Miss Epley. And I explained to her like, my whole scenario and like, I've been winning these little competitions and I'd like to try out. She was like, yeah, you know what? Try out on this day, come by and let's see what happens. And it was a very confusing audition because I had to there was a rape scene. There was like a fake rape scene in a play where I was trying to fake rape somebody so that way my friend could walk in and act like the hero. Like I was doing something wrong and he came and saved me.
In high school?
Correct.
That would never happen.
Very edgy, right? So I played it like if I was, this was bad acting, obviously, but I played it like if I was like the Joker from like, the Heath Ledger Dark Knight series kind of thing, like just being like a sick, tormented kind of dude and, the mannerisms and everything, licking your lips and that whole thing. And I remember I got off the stage and people were like, has he done this before? He's disgusting. He's sick. Like, he shouldn't be doing... And I remember I walked off the stage kind of like embarrassed, like, what's up?
Isn't that weird that, like, if you're a good actor, people can't separate you from your character?
Well, I was also in high school, so I mean, I doubt it was that good. But
I'm just saying, like, period. Like, the drive of people to, like, not be able to separate you from the fiction that you create is so strange. It makes no sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of horror actors that talk about that. Like, they're not really that serial killer or that monster.
Like Anthony Hopkins, right? Like, he's not Hannibal Lecter. He's not a cannibal. He's not
right.
But
I remember being in that position and I just felt like fuck these guys. They don't know who I am. That's the attitude I've always had my whole life. So, I remember coming out of that audition and people were like telling me I was never going to be in the show or whatever. I ended up being the lead guy in the show after all these theater kids told me I wasn't going to make it. I wasn't going to be in it. Like, forget it. And we went up to the top 8 in the state of Texas. And ever since then, I was like, you know what? I'm good at this. Like, I'm not bad at this. I love it. I really like it. And what I loved about it the most was when I got to be on stage in front of such a large crowd and it was never, ever about the crowd or like people paying attention to me. It was always this feeling of like losing yourself in the moment. Like you never knew what anything else was going on around you. You couldn't even, I didn't even have the sense that the audience was there. It was just me and the other actors doing the scene. There was nothing else. And that way of like focusing and looking at these people and interacting with them in a an imaginary world where, I was just acting truthfully. I was hooked. I couldn't get more. I needed more. I needed the most. I needed everything from that world. And I was addicted. Some people are addicted to cigarettes or booze or, I don't know, cocaine, whatever the fuck. I was addicted to just being in this world and chasing it. So I remember I went back home and I was really scared because I didn't get into any college. I didn't my grades were terrible. And I kept wondering, like, what are these actors doing? Like Marlon Brando or fucking, Daniel Day-Lewis or Meryl Streep. Like, what are all these hardcore actors doing? And I looked into it and they were like, oh, they all studied a Stanislavski style technique, whether it be from like Stella Adler.
Is this the method?
Or, well, the method is traditionally Lee Strasberg.
Okay.
Or Sanford Meisner. And I found a teacher that had studied from Sanford Meisner in New York City. She actually went there to study with him personally.
Yeah.
And I would drive to Austin, Texas from San Antonio 2 to 3 times a week for about a year. And I was hooked to that class. I couldn't stop. Once I realized this is what real actors were chasing, I was addicted, dude. I couldn't stop. I was just addicted.
So, like, I told you earlier in this conversation, like, how when I was getting ready to graduate high school, like, I just didn't give a shit because I already knew what I wanted to do. And I knew by my senior year, like, all I cared about was wrestling. It was the only thing that mattered to me. And so I did the same thing. I'm, like, looking into, like, okay, so what's the difference between, like, your average fucking wrestler and, like, somebody who makes it to the tippy top? And at the time, that was the WWE or New Japan or, Europe or something like that. And the WWE is... I hate the WWE, to be honest. Like, I fucking hate it because it's just a mockery of what pro wrestling is really about to me. However, at the time, it was like the biggest stage that you could make it. Like, if you wanted to make a living, make a name for yourself in America in pro wrestling, that was the only way to go. And when you say like how like you were addicted to it, I was exactly the same way. I was addicted to that feeling of like walking out in front of a crowd and putting on that performance and embodying my character. But a fundamental difference is when you say like you see only the other actor, right? And you're like, it's just us. Wrestling is all about the crowd. If you take the greatest wrestling match of all time and remove the crowd from it, it's garbage. Take like fucking, like Macho Man Randy Savage versus Bret Hart and just remove the crowd. Like, just, you want to throw up because it's just, it's just two dudes play fighting. But the whole sport, and I used to argue with people about this all the time because they'd be like, it's about, like, technical wrestling, or it's about like getting the biggest like slams or whatever, like that kind of thing, like pulling off the craziest technique. I'm like, no. And I'm very happy that I learned it in the southeastern region of the world, because the entire sport of professional wrestling is about getting a reaction from a crowd, period. It doesn't matter what you do. You don't have to go, if you're a really great wrestler, say Hulk Hogan or The Rock or something like that, as much as I don't like Hulk Hogan, A, as a person, and B, as a wrestler, because he did like 3 things, like he'd do like the Hulk up thing, and then he'd do the leg drop or body slam. Like, that's his whole fucking repertoire. Like, he's shit. He's a garbage. Actually, I'm talking about wrestling. Terrible. But when he walked out there, man, like he just had the whole fucking package. He walked out in front of that crowd and people lost their goddamn minds. The Rock, another great example. Not a really good wrestler, but he looks like $1 million and he's got charisma falling all out of his ass. Like, this dude just shits great crowd interaction. You know, when he does, I did my psychology final on The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Because my assignment was a Pavlovian response, right? Like the conditioning people to react in a certain way to something. So like Pavlov was the Russian scientist who proved that like dogs will start salivating when they think they're going to get food, not because you give them food, that kind of thing. So if you make them expect a response, they'll automatically react to it. So when Stone Cold Steve Austin's music hits and it's as soon as the before he ever walks out, people are losing their fucking mind. They're shitting their pants. They're fucking, you know, slinging beers all around the place. The place goes nuts. 30,000 people, 40,000 people, WrestleMania, whatever the fuck. The whole crowd is going ape shit, and they haven't even seen him yet. It's just that they know he's coming because the glass breaking at the beginning of his song is happening. And that's what the whole sport's about. It's all about that. A tremendous guy, his name was Richard Bailey, was my main like trainer for a good while, and he was very big on like, don't do a lot. Don't go out there and work your ass off, man. This is how you make your money. Like, you don't want to get hurt. Do you really want to go out there and get hurt? You want to like do a fucking triple somersault and land on your head and die and break your neck and all that shit? Go out there and waste every moment you can getting your breath, crawl out of the ring. If you're a bad guy, definitely roll out of the ring and be like, I'm not fighting you, you pussy. Like, I don't need you, all that kind of stuff. And that's just you sucking up 3 minutes of a 15-minute work day, just playing up the crowd. And then get back in and take like one bump. And then let the guy pin you. And then it's over. Like, you don't have to work that hard. But it was all about that theatrical part of it. And that's what I loved about it so much. And I loved being the bad guy so much. Because you could walk out there and some kid would be like, you suck. And then you turn around and just like stare at him in his eyes and be like, shut your mouth, you. Like a 5-year-old kid. And he shits his pants. You know, he's crying. He's like, ah. And you don't have to feel bad about it because the good guy is going to come and save him.
In Alabama.
Yeah, or
so
Alabama,
funny.
Mississippi, Georgia, Florida, like wherever, you know, like wherever I was. But the whole thing, it's so gladiator, it's so Shakespearean. It's like, there's an episode of South Park where they literally do professional wrestling in like a Shakespearean theater because it's like, that's what it is. It's cheap bullshit entertainment for the common man. And it can be on different levels. Like Shakespeare was like that, where he would write in metaphor. Whatever the fuck, would write in metaphor, where it's like a fucking serf who's uneducated could understand what's going on, but if you're like educated, you get the bigger metaphor. And The Simpsons would work the same way. This is entertainment all the way through. You know, the dumbest person in the world can understand two people bashing each other in the head with steel chairs. But to really get like the cerebral part of it, like the real psychology behind like, how are they going to set up this angle, like what are they going to do with this guy? If you really understand how it works, then you're not even thinking about like who's going to win. You're like, okay, obviously this guy's got to win because, you know, if we let this guy beat this guy, then that makes him look like shit and he won't be able to challenge for the, you know, big thing. It's like a business at a certain point. It's a carnival game. And for whatever reason, like, they just so resonated with me. Like, the ability to hold a crowd in the palm of your hands like that was amazing. It was the greatest feeling on planet Earth. I loved it. I loved every second of it. And if I think when we were talking about basic training being really easy, it was because of wrestling that I thought basic training was easy, because they just beat the shit out of you. They do everything they can to scare you away day one. They slam you, they fucking beat the shit out of you, man. They like do the Ric Flair chop across your chest until you bleed. Because they're like, the philosophy being, if you can't get your ass whooped, you will never make it in this business. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. You will just, if you can't just like walk around in pain every day, you can't be a wrestler. It won't work. You're doing that shit, 3, 4, 5 nights a week if you're making a living at it. And you're jumping off the top rope, you're getting slammed all over the fucking place, who knows what you're doing. Some people are fucking hitting themselves with fluorescent light bulbs and shit because they're crazy. Like,
yuck.
I know, but like, if you can't handle just getting the shit kicked out of you, you'll never make it. So, like, they did everything they could. So, basic training is like, they just, what are they going to do? Yell at me? The first day I got off the bus, Air Force basic training 2016. This is after that whole rape scandal thing. So, like, they were super, super tight on the MTLs. Like, you can't, it's like, get off my pissin' bus. I was like, I realized they can't even cuss at me. Like, what are they going to do to me? This is going to be cake. And that's how I felt the whole time. I was like, what are you going to do? Yell at me? Make me feel small? Like, make me do push-ups? Like, okay, I could do like 100 push-ups right now. No problem. Like, it was nothing. It was like a, whatever. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, my MTIs or Ls or whatever the fuck they were, one of them was like a TAC P prior.
Yeah.
And he was just so gung-ho about, like, I don't know, being hardcore, killing people, shit like that. But what I loved about being a bad guy in acting, I really loved the sense of empathy you would get. Realizing that the bad guy was almost exactly the same guy as the protagonist in a lot of ways.
Yeah, just different circumstances.
Yeah, just a different circumstance. He, the bad guy, you would realize, has so much more in common with you than you really thought. This really evil person that, does all these bad things, or
it's just more fun.
It can be more fun, I think, but coming from an empathy standpoint, he really does these things out of a certain, real tragic accident or a tragic, event that happened in his life.
So the road to hell is paved on good intentions, right?
Yeah, and a lot of times, like, even the most tragic things people do, for example, like, if somebody was to rob you for your Christmas gifts at a mall or something like that, the reality is that he's never really been able to afford them, or, he has people that he wants to give these gifts to.
Starting to sound like a fucking commie, man.
And he just feels angry. He feels so, like, desperate that he has to be doing these things in order to make his way. Maybe people treat him so bad, and people treat him so much like an outsider, that he needs to accomplish these things in order to make himself feel like he's worthy of being around these people.
You're talking about the Grinch.
Anything.
Or Ebenezer Scrooge.
Or all kinds of things.
Yeah, yeah.
And
the Joker, even.
Yeah, and antagonists. Antagonists. Yeah. They're enjoyable too. But even the side characters, man. I mean, if you're a good actor, and you can respect that you're not the main guys, nothing like that, but you have something to bring.
Yeah.
You have your own movement, and you have your own accent, and you have your own reasons for being there, and your independent activities and things that have meaning to you, and you have a want. You can make that side character a real memorable person.
That's, to draw an analogy to wrestling, it's like a derogatory term to call someone a jobber, right? A jobber is the guy whose job it is to go out there and lose to the guy who needs to ascend, right? Like, you need to if you're going to be the fucking top dog, you got to beat someone every time, right? And so the guy whose job it is to just go out there and lose, that's a real job. Shit, you can make a lot of money doing that. Just go out there and lose every night, over and over and over again, to the next big guy. And there's a lot of respect for that guy, because he's a servant. All he does is go out there and make you look like $1 million. I mean, if you're Hulk Hogan and you wrestle like shit, you need that guy. You need that guy who actually knows what he's doing to go out there and make you look good. Because without that, you can't make the $1 million. You're not selling out arenas. And that's so true. Like, the side characters, the supporting actors, we'll say, or the job guys, or like the enhancement talent, I think is what they use at WWE now. But like, it's so important, it's so taken for granted, but like, it matters so much. Without it, you're nothing.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most memorable side characters I remember is like, from the Dark Knight series again, Michael Caine, who plays Alfred, the butler.
Yeah.
The scenes between him and Batman, Christian Bale, there's some of the most memorable scenes I have of that movie. And it's because he plays it so real and so empathetic. He plays it like Bruce. You've never had a family, you don't have a mother or a father. I basically, raised you in these halls when you were crying as a baby. And I'm telling you to take, my advice as seriously as you can. And, even to this day, I think to those scenes and I'm like, man, I want to cry, because it's so good.
I think they reenact it in The Dark Knight a bit, but like there's Alan Moore, to me, is the greatest fucking comic book writer, not artist, but writer ever. And he did The Watchmen, which I have like multiple tattoos of, and he wrote this Batman story called The Killing Joke, which was largely what that movie was based on.
Is, yeah.
And there's this dialogue. It also happens in a Frank Miller Batman series called, I think it's just called, is it called The Dark Knight? It might actually be called The Dark Knight.
Where he's like an older Batman.
Yeah, but they use a lot of that influence of the 80s, like really gritty, like super cerebral Batman stuff in those movies. And there's these dialogue scenes with the Joker talking to Batman who's like, I need you. I'm nothing without you. If you didn't exist, I couldn't exist, and vice versa. So it's like this yin and yang thing. And that was so fundamental. And it's not just in wrestling, but it's in like all fiction. Like without the heel, there's no, why do you have a hero? Without the bad guy, there can be no hero. And without the hero, there can't be a bad guy. Like, they're codependent. And that's so like integral to all of our myths and everything that we understand about how the world works. It's sort of hard to remove from the human experience, period. And I think that's why we're so addicted to that shit.
What's really cool about the Joker in that movie is that he was based off of a couple of things. I think Heath Ledger said that he got some ideas from like Prince.
Yeah.
He got some ideas from Othello, the character Iago from Othello. Where he was kind of like the mastermind behind like the whole entire play, which in my opinion, Iago is kind of like the main character of Othello, even though the play is called Othello.
Yeah.
He had ideas from like The Crow, punk rock, just all kinds of things. And I loved watching behind the scenes of Heath Ledger figuring out this person, figuring out this even to this day, that's like a I don't know, a life-changing kind of experience when you watch The Dark Knight for the first time. You're like, whoa, this person was capable of playing the Joker. It's such an extreme level. It's memorable. You could never forget him.
He got lost in it, man. He killed himself.
There's a lot of talk about that. I had watched a documentary. It was called Heath, I think. And it talks about how, which is really interesting. I was playing a character at the time in acting class about this. I was playing a heroin addict that came out of World War I or the Korean War. And it was a character that he was asking his dad to like loan him money to keep the bar up with his brother.
Yeah.
And his dad came down from like a northern state and said, okay, what are you and your brother really up to? What's going on? You guys really need my money? And the dad started realizing that, this character was dependent on, opiates, anything opiate related.
Morphine. Opiate.
Anything opiate related, yeah.
Heroin, yeah.
And so this character was starting to shed his skin and showing him that, like, Dad, I'm addicted to heroin, but it's because of the war. And his dad was like, I don't have any sympathy for you. And so this character started going mad, like... Anyway, what this brought to Heath Ledger was... Heath Ledger actually did a movie about heroin addiction. I forgot what the name of the movie's called. But him and the girl he was interested in.
10 Things I Hate About You.
No, no.
That's also Shakespeare, though, right? That's Much Ado About Nothing.
I don't know.
An adaptation. I swear, I'm not wrong about this.
I know that Heath Ledger did a movie about heroin where him and his girlfriend were really addicted to it, and his dad was cool about it. His dad was cool about doing all kinds of drugs. And so his dad was like, okay, well, you guys can do it safely here. And so I was doing...
Brokeback Mountain.
No Brokeback Mountain.
I really like Jake Gyllenhaal, too. Man, he's a great actor.
He's just gay as hell. But
he's a great actor.
Anyway, I was doing this character at the same time I was watching this movie with Heath Ledger. And Heath Ledger did this movie about heroin addiction, and it was interesting because he had actually done heroin for the movie. He was doing it to understand what it was like to be a heroin addict, and he actually got addicted. So in this documentary, they talk about his addiction, and right after he had done this heroin movie, he had went to the Dark Knight. So he was addicted to heroin at the time, couldn't sleep, and he was also conflicted and obsessed with doing the Joker at the same time with being addicted to heroin, that it really destroyed him mentally. It was all kinds of things.
Do you admire the guy who's willing to die for his work like that?
Yes.
Do you want to be that guy?
Yes.
Then? Don't.
I would do anything.
Don't, man. That's
not
crazy.
Necessarily to be Heath Ledger. That's not my
No,
goal.
but I mean, like, to be truly great at your craft, you don't need to fucking kill yourself. You can be a great actor and never do anything like that.
I think when it comes down to it, I really admire people. I think the top 4 that I admire, top 4 actors I admire would be like Daniel Day-Lewis, definitely number 1.
No heroin addiction. You know?
Right.
Not dead.
But he also would break his ribs to play as like a paraplegic.
Paraplegic?
A person that was just completely paralyzed. Like he lived in a chair.
Yeah, paraplegic.
And he broke his ribs to play this character. My Left Foot. That's the movie. I 100%. I admire Daniel Day-Lewis because he's had like 3 divorces. And all of his wives could not understand his craziness, his addiction, his full dedication to acting. I would love to live my life that way, where that's all that ever mattered to me. I would love to die on stage playing Death of a Salesman, and I'm like 95 years old.
I mean, I'm speaking to you as someone who basically like lost a marriage because of my...
I don't care. I wouldn't even get married.
No, I'm just saying, like, because of my addiction to my work. Like, because I'm so committed to, like, I will sacrifice anything to do what I want to do in my life. Like, that kind of thing. I don't think it needs to be that destructive, though.
I don't think I have a choice.
There's something to that.
I don't think I have a choice. That's
like,
just who I am.
You have to be you.
I paid rent with a credit card because I wanted to act so bad.
Yeah, like, you don't have to be that destructive, man.
I don't care.
I know you don't care, but you can be...
it's not how I even work.
You can be... Like, there's a reason why you joined the military. Like, you need a stability in your life.
I would say actors that I really admire would be Daniel Day-Lewis,
Uh-huh.
Meryl Streep,
Okay.
Clint Eastwood. I love Clint Eastwood. I love his dedication, not only to the acting craft, but he's really found himself.
He's a great writer and director, too.
He really found himself when he became a director.
Yeah. I love Gran Torino, man.
Yeah, he realized that he was a director at the end of his life.
Did you watch The Changeling?
I don't think so.
That movie just permanently scarred me for life. Like, I can't watch it anymore.
And I really love, number 4, Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson's barely an actor.
I disagree with you. I think that Jack Nicholson is so comfortable in his own skin that he's able to live truthfully under these imaginary circumstances as himself.
There's something to that, and I have nothing bad to say about Jack Nicholson. I'm saying that I mean, this is not, I'm not the first person to make this observation. He's just Jack Nicholson. Like, when he was auditioning for movies when he first started his career, right? He'd go to people and he'd like, I would like to audition for this part, and he would do it, and he would just be Jack Nicholson. They'd be like, look, there's something, you got something, man. You got something. We don't need it for this, but when we need you, we'll need you. You know what I mean? He's what's the word for it? A character actor? Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, that's...
A typecast sort of thing. And I'm not saying that there's something wrong with that. Like, he's just... When you need Jack Nicholson, you call Jack Nicholson. But when you need Abraham Lincoln, you call Daniel Day-Lewis.
You call Daniel Day-Lewis.
And when you need Calvin J. Candy, you call Leo. And I'm a huge fucking Leo mark, dude. I'm all in on... I think to me, and I'm not an actor, so I can speak freely about what I think. When I forget that you are who you are, when you're super famous like that, and I just don't even recognize that, like, oh, that's Leonardo DiCaprio or whatever. That is like magical to me. Like, Daniel Day-Lewis is one of those guys, like, I'll watch a movie and I won't even realize until the end credits. Like, oh, that was Daniel Day-Lewis the whole time. Like, you know what? Like, Gangs of New York. Holy shit. Billy the Butcher is like the baddest motherfucker who ever lived. Didn't realize until the end credits. Like, that was Daniel Day-Lewis. Holy shit. And there's so many great examples of that.
Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah. Philip Seymour Hoffman would do that too, to me. Like, I would just like, I know it's Philip Seymour. I like cerebrally in my brain, I know that's Philip Seymour Hoffman right in front of me, but like, I'm not seeing Philip Seymour Hoffman. I'm seeing the character he's playing.
Right.
You know, and yeah, Joaquin Phoenix is one of those guys too. I mean, everything, even the shittiest movies he's been in. Like Signs. That dude brought his fucking A game, bro.
I love Signs.
I love listening to interviews with Danny Trejo. Because he's one of those guys that's just like, when you need a guy that looks like Danny Trejo, you call Danny Trejo. And he'll tell you straight up, he's like, look, you know, when I was making Badass 1, 2, and 3, you know, it's just money. Like, I'm not bringing my fucking A game to that shit. That's my D game, you know? Like, I'm just making my paycheck. But when Robert Rodriguez calls you to be Machete, you bring your fucking A game. Like, that kind of thing. Like, he's smart. He knows what he's doing.
Dude, I gotta tell you, this one time, I got called in to go to Robert Rodriguez's studio in Austin, Texas, and it blew my fucking mind.
He's my favorite director.
Really? I wouldn't call him my favorite director, but...
He's a director of many of my favorite movies. My favorite movie of all time is Sin City, and he directed it.
Sin City, the one with like Bruce Willis and it's black and white?
Yeah, I love that movie so much.
Really?
Like,
I gotta rewatch that.
It's between... It's my number one movie is always like either Sin City or The Guest, and then it's every Quentin Tarantino movie in sequential order of when I last saw it. Like, so... Like, if I saw Inglourious Basterds last week, I'd be like, and then Inglourious Basterds, and then, you know, but... Whatever. I just love everything he makes. I love David Fincher so much.
Yeah.
I love all of his movies. I love Seven. I love Fight Club. I love shit. Even Benjamin Button. Like, people give that movie shit, but
I like that movie.
I think he's brilliant.
It's pretty good.
I think Fincher just like can't do anything wrong. The worst movie he ever made was Alien 3.
I think he started making on Netflix. It's called
He did Mindhunter.
Yes, yeah. Mindhunter was a great TV show.
Yeah.
That was like one of the best TV shows I've seen this year.
Yeah, he did like the first 3 or 4 episodes, I want to say. Like, directed it and then kind of like produced it.
So fucking good, dude.
But like, he was so good in Zodiac, right? Zodiac was his movie.
Zodiac was perfect.
And so like, it was perfect for him to just go to Mindhunter.
Dude. Yeah.
David Lynch, man, Twin Peaks is like fucking, like, you know me, man. I watch 3 shows, you know? Other than wrestling, I watch Star Trek, X-Files, and Twin Peaks, and I just rotate between them. Like,
yeah, you and Jake used to talk about Twin Peaks like 24/7.
Twin Peaks is a fucking masterpiece, and David Lynch is the greatest director. Like, he's just got his own fucking style. The way he fucks with audio, man, like, it's so much more than just like the visual and how you tell the actors to act. Because he was purposefully, with Twin Peaks, is going for that soap opera bullshit, shitty acting thing, like, on purpose. He wants you to feel uncomfortable. And the more surreal it is, the better. So he was so good at, like, I'm gonna fuck with the microphone a little bit. When you want to, like, when you're anxious, right? You start to notice every little detail, right? Of someone, like, making noises, everything like that. You hear it so audibly. You're in a cafeteria full of people. And then the whole room is, basically, it's like, it just drowns out behind your head. And you hear a glass clinking or whatever. That's anxiety, and David Lynch really, really understands that. And he could just produce it like it's nothing in his films and in his TV shows, everything he's ever made. Like, that's what I really respect about him. He understands human emotion so well, and that's what surrealism like really digs into my soul for that reason.
Yeah, I really like. I love The Matrix. I love the message behind The Matrix, the first one.
I only like the first Matrix. The rest of them are garbage.
I really love the other ones, but...
I like the fight scenes and all that, but like...
They're not the first one, for sure. The first one was like a life-changing experience. You couldn't escape it.
I want your opinion on this.
What's up?
Because you understand films and fiction and everything. When you write a piece of fiction, right? And you make that standalone thing, like Matrix #1, right? And everything's like vague. there's this ominous, like, I don't understand the full universe. The more you expand upon it and try to explain it, you ruin it. You taint it. The same thing with John Wick. John Wick 1 was fucking amazing. The more you try to explain and to make me understand this universe that he lives in, now that you, like, start making me think about all the little details and, like, the behind the scenes shit, like, the more is left up to the imagination, the better, to me. I mean, Lovecraft really understood this. That's why he only wrote mostly short fiction, short stories, just because it's like, if I expand upon this anymore, it's just going to ruin it. Like, the whole point of being terrified, of being, not even just scared, I think Lovecraft would have called it fear or horror, but being immersed in a world is like, because it lets you have an imagination, and the more you give detail-wise, the less there is to be imaginative about. And so it takes away from it, for me. The only exception I would really give is like Lovecraft, or not Lovecraft, Tolkien. Like, Lord of the Rings is perfect, but other than that.
I would say that The Matrix was very unique in that I think it stole a lot of things from people. And it was so good because it was something that wasn't present in a lot of people's lives.
The Matrix was Japanese anime on American.
Right, and I've seen that before, where people talk about that. And I've seen things like that were before The Matrix, like, for example, Ghost in the Shell, 1996. When I watched that for the first time, I was like, oh, this is where The Matrix got this, and this, and this, and this. And even though The Matrix is very unique in its own, I could already recognize after watching some of these films and some of these movies that, yes, it had taken things. It was influenced by a lot of different things.
It's an American adaptation of a Japanese take on cyberpunk.
Yeah, and it was good.
Right. Like, it's
rare to find something good like that.
If you, okay, so I have a friend named, he goes by Revel, like, with a V, not B. And he's making a game called Sprawl right now. And I'm really getting in his head, like, what's the influence of this game? And he's like, I want to make cyberpunk, but I don't want it to be like, like the game Cyberpunk 20, whatever the fuck that shit was called. Like, and I don't want to make Blade Runner. Like, this is the American cyberpunk. This is the very, like, extrapolate America from 1984 kind of thing. Like, what would the future look like in 21 or some, bullshit like that. There's going to be flying cars and all this kind of shit. And in the Japanese take on that, especially, like, Ghost in the Shell is probably the root of it, really. And Akira, there's some other stuff in there too. Serial Experiments Lane. I could rattle all that shit on forever, but they just had a different look on what would cyberpunk look like. And if you, like, really want to get down to it, what does cyberpunk look like? It looks like Tokyo. Like, look at a picture of Tokyo. Then switch over to Blade Runner, and it's like, oh, okay, that's what they were imagining, like that kind of thing. The Japanese culture, for whatever reason,
when they go to the market and they want to buy food,
right? And there's all these neon lights.
100% looks like Tokyo.
Yeah. But he wanted his game to be like that, sort of the more Eastern take on the genre, and he did such a great job because you're basically like this, like, cybernetic, almost samurai dude with a sword, and, like, you get machine guns later on in the game and all that kind of thing, but you're jumping off walls and all this kind of shit. Like, fucking Harrison Ford's not jumping off walls, No. He's just like, bah, bah, bah. Like, he's like a cop, like an American, like, buddy cop, like, hardcore kind of guy. Like, I drink a lot of coffee, and then when I go home, I drink whiskey, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Just dehydrated.
Exactly. That's his whole character is just being dehydrated.
Yeah.
Right? But, dude, you're such a, like, interesting person to, like, bounce these ideas off of, because I don't really have a lot of other friends that'll, like, sit here and hear me out about how deeply I think about this stuff. It's just weird.
Well, I definitely enjoy it.
I feel like we've been talking for, I'm looking at the screen here, an hour and a half. These people have no idea who I am.
Who, Ty Brannan?
They don't even know like, we haven't said my name once. I swear. I bet if you go back through this audio, like, we've not said my name once.
I mean, Ty Brannan, if I were to describe Ty Brannan, he's a person that wants to have, like, a man bun, but it's too small to be a man bun.
It's a necessity. I told this girl at the grocery store the other day because she was like talking shit about my fucking man bun, and I was like, look, I don't tie it up like this because I think it looks good. This is like when Ash Ketchum turns his fucking hat around. This is me being serious. This is me like getting the hair out of my face. I need to focus. Like, this is what I do. That's it. It's a matter of habit. It's like you ever read the series of Unfortunate Events?
Yeah.
Violet, the oldest daughter.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this really important character thing for her, like a small detail that really matters to like who she is that, you know, she always wears her hair down, but when it's time for her to like work, she ties her hair up every time.
Those were really cool books for a while.
Dude, they're great.
And I don't know what happened. I just stopped reading them.
They're great.
I think once the TV show came out, I was like,
read them right now, and I guarantee you'll be like, this is awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're kids' books, but they're good. Like that Lemony Snicket guy, I don't know what his real name is, but like,
I have a library card.
Goddamn, that motherfucker kicks ass. Like, he just knew what he was doing. Great writers they don't come around more than like once or twice in a generation like that. That dude he nailed that market. He knew what he was doing.
I would say what first comes to mind when I think about you, just as a person, and as the audience can learn from you, is that I love that when I talk to you, it's never like anything is fake. When I talk to you, it's like, this is who I am, and if you don't like it, fuck off.
Yeah.
And
that's really how I feel, though.
And I love that because there's so many people out there today that have all these defensive walls and barriers for a rightful reason. You know, there may have been something that makes them feel really uncomfortable to be as vulnerable or as real as they want to be. But my acting teacher used to tell me that people that have gone through great tragedy also understand great joy.
Yeah.
And when you understand that, it's like there's no more bullshit. You can understand when somebody's really truthfully themselves and when somebody's faking it and somebody's, you know, just trying to get by just by being on the surface. I
wouldn't even say it's about tragedy, because lots of people go through tragedy, man. Like,
well, some people's tragedies, you know, my parents got divorced, you know.
That might be the worst thing that ever the worst thing that ever happened to you, no matter what it was, is the worst thing that ever happened to you.
Right.
Right. Like, you can only act within the boundaries of the reality you live in. So I've met people who, I used to be that guy. Like, I'm not going to get into it, you know, on the air, but like, you kind of have like some backstory on like what I went through as a kid. And I would really be angry. Like, I would walk around, whether it would be school or whatever, and I would be pissed at other people who were like happy. I didn't like happy people. I was like, why do you walk around being so goddamn sure of yourself? Like, why is your whole life already planned out for you? Why are you not questioning the premise? I was so angry at them. And then one day I realized it was like, because they're fucking healthy. It's because their parents loved them and they made them feel special. And regardless of whatever happened to me, my parents never made me feel like I wasn't loved, you know, or like they put in the work to make sure, even if I did feel that way, that I would be proven wrong. And so I don't think I would be as comfortable being like, I'm just who the fuck I am right now, and fuck you if you don't like it, if I didn't know that, like, I can be that. I can't remember who it was. I was talking to a friend, and then I was like, hold on just a second. My grandma was calling me. I answered the phone. Hey, Mama, what's going on? And then I got off the phone, and my friend was like, you talk to your grandmother exactly like you talk to me. And I was like, why is that weird? Why is that wrong?
Because why is it wrong? I don't understand that.
Like,
why do people think it's wrong?
I swear to God, dude.
This is why we get along.
If my grandmother called me right now, my voice would not change. I'd be like, hey, what's up? You know, what's going on, Mama? You good? Fuck yeah. Like, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
Because I know that she loves me no matter what.
Yeah.
I could fucking murder you on live television, and my grandma would be on the air 5 minutes later. He didn't do it. No fucking way.
My grandma would say I did it.
My grandmother would never. She would fucking kill your whole family to silence that shit. Like, no way. Like, I have unconditional love from my family, and I know that. And so, because of that, I'm not sensitive about it. I'm not afraid that if you don't love me, I'm going to feel like I'm not worthy.
I think from a young age, I've been in a lot of fist fights. probably over a dozen. And
yeah.
and I know going through that in school, like kids like making fun of me, telling me I was a liar for talking about my past and about seeing my father die and my brother and everything like that. Kids were brutal back then. They used to call me a faggot because I have this necklace I'm wearing.
Yeah.
This is actually my dad. His ashes are inside this necklace. And I used to wear it every single day when I would go to school. Because it would make me feel more comfortable, because my father was with me. And when I would explain this to kids, like, my necklace is, my father's ashes, and I carry it with me. Kids were brutal back then. They used to call me a faggot for sleeping with my dad because, I would sleep with my necklace. Or they would say, I have daddy issues, or, But, of course, a teenager with raging hormones and an anger issue would act out upon that. And I was always being challenged. Just because I don't know. I remember I was telling my brother this story today, I think. I remember one time I was like in history class or economics class or something like that. And I remember I got there early, like a couple minutes early, and I was sitting at my desk just waiting for class to start. And I sat in the middle of the room. And 3 guys walked in. And they were like, why do you think you're so fucking tough? You always look like you want to beat somebody up. And I was like, no, man, I don't want any of that. I'm just, what do you want? What do you want from me? And I remember they started just shoving my desk. And I got up and they started punching me. And next thing I know, we're like fighting in the middle of this fucking economics class. And class hasn't even started yet. And then my teacher walks in and he's like, is everything okay? And then we all are like, yeah, everything's okay. But it's always been my whole life. Somebody always coming up and challenging me and always like trying to like hurt me or do something to me. And I guess I got used to it where I was like, this is going to happen like on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Like somebody's going to come in and fucking, belittle me or hurt me or mistreat me. And so I just got to the point where I was like, you know what? Like, if you don't like me, fuck you. You don't like me? Go fuck yourself. And I sometimes I wonder this day, I'm sure I'm more than positive, that has something to do with like the way people treat me today. But I still don't give a fuck. Like, if you don't like me, go fuck yourself.
I really like that. Like, I just kind of live by that philosophy. Like, I'm not going to change myself for you.
Yeah.
Like, whatever you expect of me, like, if I'm not... I've found enough people in my life who, like, I'm exactly what they seem to want. Like, I can just be myself and they're like, you are awesome. That I don't need approval. If someone comes around and they're like, I don't like you. I'm like, well, tough titties, Fuck off. Like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. Like, I don't know what effect that has on people, but generally, like, my adult life has been much easier than my adolescent life, for sure. Because I was like that. I was like the guy, people would come up and try to fucking fuck with me and fight me all the time and like that kind of shit. And I was just like, okay. But I had also at that point, like, dedicated my whole life to, like, wrestling and karate and bullshit. I was like, oh, fucking hit me. Go ahead. Like, let's settle this right now. And I wasn't afraid. I was just not afraid of people. I had also surrounded myself with, like, big ass dudes too. Like, my best friends in high school were like this dude his name was Van. He looked like a fucking refrigerator. I'm just like, hit me.
A refrigerator.
Like, I'm serious. Like, I don't care. Like, go ahead. I have nothing to lose here. You're gonna be really regretful of what you do right now.
I had 0 of those, but
I don't know. That might be like a natural charisma thing, and I don't have any scientific idea of how that works. But, like, I do know that I had that kind of lightning rod effect to some extent. That sounds kind of arrogant to say, but, like, I can observe it. Like, I definitely just don't have a hard time making friends. Mm. And I never really have. Like, I've had a hard time making like intimate relationships work, because it's like, you know, that whole fuck you, I don't care what you think works up until a point. But, you know, when you're like really intimate with someone, that's a whole different story. That's like, you can't be that way with them. You're like, no, I don't give a shit what you think. Because then that ends the threshold of like where you begin that real connection with someone. And so that I do struggle with and have all my life. But like with, as far as just like making friends, like tight motherfucking friends that like got your back, that's not something I've ever really like questioned or had to struggle with. And so when I meet people who like really struggle with making friends, I don't really know what to tell them. I'm like scared to even like pass judgment, because I'm like, I don't know what it's like to be you. Like, what is it like to just not know how to talk to someone? You know, like not know how to interact with other people, not to ask someone for help. You know, like that's where it really comes down to most of the time. From in my observation, is like these people who are like, I don't have a lot of friends. I'm like, I'm not saying I have a lot of friends. I just have like friends who are close to me, you know, who I can depend on. If I need something, I could be like, hey man, can you help me out? And no question, of course I would. Can I crash on your couch tonight? Absolutely. And I would do the same thing for them.
Yeah.
But I've met people along the way who were like, I could never, you know, I could never impose. I'm like, why? Why is that where you draw the line? You know, like, would you do it for them? Of course. Okay, so why wouldn't you ask them to do it for you? You know, pay it forward. It doesn't have to be like a transactional thing. It's like, if someone does something nice for you, do something nice for someone else. Just radiate being a good person. Radiate everything in your life. Just try to like be kind to people. I don't get it. I don't understand why that's such a struggle. And that makes me a difficult person to be around for those types of people, though. Like, even at work, you know, there are people who just don't like me, and I'm okay with that. But I have to assume that the reason they don't like me is because I'm not willing to act differently around them. Like, this is what you get. This is Burger King, baby. Not have it your way, but have it my way.
Oh shit!
Like that's. I'm not really that cold. I mean, I'll try to be nice. Like, I'll try to like just accommodate and be like, okay, whatever, I'll shut up. But it's hard. It's like hard to do that, honestly. Like, I can't really just be fake. It hurts me. It makes me feel uncomfortable around people. Like, if they expect me to like act differently around them. Even in like military leadership, I don't act differently around them.
Nope.
Like, would you say that's true?
No, you act exactly as you are in private as you are in public.
I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. Why? Like, what you can like walk up and say the same shit that I would say. They like just lose their minds on you, and they're like, "Oh, Brannan," like whatever. But that's who I am, and I don't know why. I don't know why. It's odd.
Well, I have to pee like a fucking racehorse.
Well, I'll go pee. And okay, so example. Right. When I went through ALS, which every NCO in the Air Force has to go through, you know, you're surrounded by all these people who are like, you know, they're senior airmen, you know, they're like getting ready to like, it seems like most people like need that preparation to like take that step to be a leader. And they're so afraid of like offending someone or breaking the rule or whatever. Like they're just trying to like act like something they're not. Dude, the first day we were in class, I walked right in the room, sat down in my chair, popped my feet up on the desk. And you would have thought I had fucking brought a hooker to church. Like, it was like Marilyn Manson at a Baptist revival kind of shit. Like, it was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what? And they're like, and I wasn't even thinking I didn't do this consciously. I'm just being comfortable, right? And they're like, that's so unprofessional. I'm like, what is unprofessional? They're like, putting your feet on the desk. I'm like, okay, I want you to explain to me right now what is, quote, unprofessional about me being comfortable in this classroom. And they're like, and they got mad at me. And this is other people in the same situation I'm in. We're running the same race, jumping the same hurdles, right? So why are you trying to fucking bring me down? That kind of shit. They're like, it's just wrong. It's just disrespectful. It's unprofessional. I'm like, what about my profession prevents me from putting my feet on the desk? Why is this offensive to you? Really think about it. and then come back to me. That kind of thing. And like, and they were just like, so upset. I'm like, why are you upset? What did I do to hurt you? What is this doing that offends you in any way? Other than the only reason is because someone at some point told them that that's unprofessional. That's the only reason. And that's how I break down like every problem. Like, why is this wrong? What is the problem here? Why does this offend you? Really? And the ultimate reason is because they just fucking learn. Like, that's the number one thing I hate about the military, honestly, is like people just follow blindly. And that makes you a shitty leader as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I would say putting your feet on the desk doesn't look that professional.
Why?
Because you're just making the desk dirty with your feet.
So? Are you going to eat off of it?
Well, I got to put my hands on it.
You have to put your hands on my desk.
I don't know if I saw
this is COVID time. We're going to fucking Lysol this room.
I don't know what the desk looks like, but there's some big desks out there. And I don't know. I don't like people putting their feet up like on a dashboard of a car.
Really?
That's pretty disgusting.
Disgusting?
I would say so, yeah.
You're not going to clean it? You don't clean your dashboard?
Those people that do it every single day, I guarantee you don't fucking clean that fucking dashboard.
Why is that? It's just fucking, like, what are you going to do? Like, die from it? You're going to get fucking...
Well, I mean, treat your car like you would treat yourself, I suppose. You know?
You know what I like? I like putting my feet up when I'm relaxing.
Fuck no.
And I treat my car like that way, too.
I've never done that to
I like
my car.
being comfortable.
Never, ever, would ever dream of doing that to my car.
I don't like being uncomfortable. That sucks.
I would say that's just more of like a dirty habit.
Who's that hurting?
I mean...
Do you get in your car and like lean up on the dashboard and like rub on the glove box and just lick it and shit? Like, what's wrong with you?
Well, your feet have been like where dog shit has been, or where like...
Yeah, so...
I don't know, where gum has been, and where fucking people have spit and people drop things. Like, it's in my opinion, like, I wouldn't judge you for it, but I definitely know that I wouldn't do that.
I think that's dumb. I think people need to fucking relax, man. Drink a beer and shut up. Like, god damn. I don't know. But I've always been that way. Like, I hate authority. I'm a shitty fucking airman for that exact reason. Like, I just hate rules that are only there because it's a rule. Like, if it doesn't serve a purpose, like putting your hands in your pockets. Like, don't put your hands in your pockets. Like, okay, the only reason I can surmise why you don't like me having my hands in my pockets is because some asshole tripped and broke his neck and couldn't catch his fall because he had his hands in his pocket. Otherwise, like, I don't get it. If you're saying it looks unprofessional, go fuck yourself. It's cold. Suck a dick. I hate it. Like, I don't have any time for your stupid argument. I don't care.
Hands
Maybe
in
I sound
pockets
arrogant.
is different from putting your feet on the table.
It doesn't matter what the rule is. If it's a rule that only exists because somebody somewhere decided it was unprofessional. Shaving. Mr. Shaving Waiver. Like, why does shaving exist in the military?
Well, they claim it's because of the gas mask.
Right. And
I
that made sense in World War
it's
I
true.
when we were fighting in trenches and we had gas masks on all the time. But, like, does it really matter with your day job? In the 60s, in Vietnam, they decided it was about discipline. It's about, well, shaving is part of your military bearing. You know, shaving is part of your discipline. And they would actually say, like, people would start going crazy and lose their discipline if they, you know, like, they stopped shaving and then they started acting a fool because they felt like they didn't have to follow the rules anymore. And now it's become this whole, like, stupid discipline thing. And the only way to get out of it is to go get a medical waiver for it because you have ingrown hairs all over your face. And to me, I'm just like, I think the rule ought to be like, hey, if you grow a pretty decent beard, cool. If you grow a patchy, ugly-ass beard, then you're not allowed to have one.
But then there comes like he's hurting my feelings because I don't
care about your feelings. Fuck off. Shut up.
There's a reason behind it, I think. I think there's a healthy reason why you shave. I would agree, but...
Dude, General Custer had a full-ass beard.
Well, they also didn't have fucking
Ulysses S. Grant,
back then,
full-ass beard.
Did they have mustard gas and chemical warfare back then?
When in your career have you faced mustard gas or chemical warfare at all?
Maybe.
If you're deployed to North Korea, right, and we're going to assume that the gas mask doesn't work on a bearded face, though it does in this day and age with our advanced technology. This is not a problem you have to face. And honestly, you're probably going to die anyway because you don't know how to put on.
Well, there's a reason firefighters can't grow beards, right? It's because they can only grow mustaches, so that way, when they put on their masks, the smoke doesn't get up.
Okay, sure.
Well, I mean, the way I see it, as I've always seen it, I guess, since I've been in, is that if there is some sort of extreme medical emergency where, like, there is chemical warfare or some sort of, like, dangerous fumes or dangerous smoke, whatever, you are ready to go at any moment's notice. Which to me makes sense. I've never had a real issue with any of that. But I'm on a shaving waiver because I get ingrown hairs from shaving.
Okay, so what if mustard gas drops on us right now?
Well, I mean, I would hope that...
Because we don't have mop gear in my house right now, dude. We're just dead.
I think that they would call you in immediately and be like, okay, show up to work immediately, put on your shit, get ready to go.
You think that would work?
I think it would work better than not doing it at all.
I don't know. I think people are too goddamn worried about life, man. If you're worried about people's feet on your dashboard...
Ukraine is about to fucking get invaded by Russia right now as we speak.
Yeah. It's happened before. It's going to happen again.
Well...
it sucks for the Ukrainian people and all that, but like, we're not going to do anything about it.
I'd rather know that I could handle a gas mask than not. I would shave right now if they fucking invaded the U.S.
So you're going to stop? Okay. They're dropping bombs on us. You're going to run to the restroom, shave your beard off, and then put on your gas mask.
If I had time, yeah.
Yeah, you're just going to put on your gas mask and you're going to be fine. Or
I would
not.
hope.
Or you're just going to die, and it doesn't matter.
I would hope I'd be
A meteor could fall out of the sky right now and we'd all be dead.
I don't know.
Just as likely.
I would imagine a bigger beard, the worse the gas mask.
I don't really care. If it's my time, it's my time.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I'm serious, man.
I'm trying to live, bro. I'm trying to live for sure.
Yeah, but like then you're trying to kill yourself for acting. Like, why do you care so much about...
I would try to live as long as possible so I could enjoy acting as long as possible.
We live in the most privileged fucking bullshit ass country in the world. We've never had a fucking real... Like, since the 1800s, there's been no war on this soil. Like, you're not saving yourself by shaving your face. I'm just being honest. Like, that's the last thing in the world that's saving your life right now. Is shaving your fucking face. Giving yourself fucking pimples and, like, road burn all over your fucking... just ripping your skin off and having red marks everywhere. Like, that's not saving your life.
Well, you can get it if you require it. So, if you want a shaving waiver and you meet the requirements, go for it.
Right.
If not, don't go for it.
Then why... Okay, so why... Or is it okay for you to have a shaving waiver, but not for every single person to just not shave? Like, why is it suddenly...
Because I get ingrown hairs.
I do too. Everyone does. That's bullshit. I don't buy it.
Well, go to the fucking medical office and get your waiver.
It's not that big a deal. It's just like... The rule doesn't make any sense. That's the point I'm trying to make, is the rule itself... If you're going to make exceptions to the rule that's apparently about your safety. So now we're saying that your right to not have ingrown hairs is more important than your right to not die from mustard gas. That's fucking dumb. It makes no sense. It's just stupid. It's all fucking... It's just an old tradition that we've carried on for years and years and years for no goddamn reason other than someone at some point decided that it's like, it's a tradition, we're going to do that because it's a rule. It's like not eating pork. Yeah, it makes sense not to eat pork back when like you could reasonably expect that every pig you interacted with had trichinosis. But if you eat a fucking piece of bacon, you're not going to get trichinosis.
Bacon sounds good.
Yeah, I love bacon so much.
Bacon's great. Dude, do you like Culver's?
Yeah, I like Culver's.
What do you mean you just like Culver's?
I don't want to like suck Mr. Culver's dick or anything, but like I enjoy it. Every time I've ever had Culver's, I was like, this is a tasty burger.
Don't fuck with me. What's better than Culver's?
Burger-wise?
Yeah.
Lindy's on 4th.
I've never been there.
Motherfuckers listening, if you're ever in Tucson, Lindy's on 4th. Best burgers in the world.
So I would tell you that Culver's as a fast food burger place, probably the best, like 10 out of 10.
We're talking about fast food, like you can go through the drive-thru and get your food in
Yep.
5 minutes. Okay. I mean, Five Guys is really good.
Not all of them have a drive-thru.
Okay. Over Culver's, I mean,
What?
there's a place back home called Bertiel's. That shit is good.
Sure, bro. Sure, whatever. But we all know that Culver's is 10.
I got nothing against Culver's. I'm just like,
I ate Culver's before I got here. I gotta tell you, bro. They got it right. Everything is fresh as fuck. All the vegetables, the fries, the fucking burger itself is delicious. Shit, I wish it was 24/7 because after I leave here, I would 100% get Culver's.
what does Mr. Culver's dick taste like?
Like fucking heaven? I don't know.
So like, when I leave here, what's your next step? What are you gonna do with your life?
Whoa, what a different question. I was actually going to take dancing classes, believe it or not.
Okay.
So that way I could get more comfortable with like movement and learning how to control my body.
You don't have to pay for dancing lessons, man. Just go to the MAV. Just go to the MAV and find some, like, any girl there and be like, teach me how to two-step, baby, and she will teach you.
I wish it was that simple.
It is that simple.
Well, I think once I get more comfortable with like dancing lessons, I'll probably go there like weekly.
Just go.
Well,
Skip the don't waste your money. Just spend your money on booze while you're getting fucking dancing lessons for free.
I wish that was true, but I'm actually a really bad dancer.
It doesn't matter.
It kind of matters.
Dude, I would embarrass myself the other day. I got like way too drunk. I like asked this girl like, "Hey, would you like to dance with me?" And she was like, "I don't really know how to dance." I was like, "Don't worry, babe, me neither." And then we cut a rug, and I did all the spins and shit, and it was terrible. And she was like, "You're really bad at this." And I was like, "I told you before we started dancing." And she was like, "Okay, whatever." And we had a good time. And then we never talked to each other again. And it was fine.
Yeah, but I need to like dance like well.
Do you want me to teach you how to two-step?
Eventually.
You want me to be the girl or the boy?
The girl.
Well, you gotta lead then.
Ah.
It's not hard. It's really not hard. It's 2 steps. And then a third step, actually. But they don't mention that one. What are you going to do, though?
Well, I was going to try and do dancing classes. And I was also going to try some more singing lessons because Teal's wife trying to teach me how to sing was cool and everything.
Mm.
But for $30 for 30 minutes, like, that's fucking insane. I was like getting nowhere for $30 in fucking 30 minutes. It was ridiculous. It was way too much money. So.
You ever think you just might be tone deaf?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
But fuck it.
Singing is like, I feel like that's one of those things you just can't really, like, you can teach technique and you can teach breathing and you can teach like throat muscle bullshit, but like either you got it or you don't, man. That's really how I feel about singing. Like it's an innate quality. Some people are just born great singers and some people like train their whole lives and can never sing.
I don't think you have to be a great singer to get into Juilliard, but you have to understand some.
All alone in the.
You have to understand like where the people are coming from, your teachers are coming from.
Yeah.
And that's all I want. I want to make sure that when I walk in there, that I'm the best absolute version of myself that I could possibly be.
Just walk in there and be you?
Well, I also want to be the best fittest version of myself, the best dancing version of myself, the best singing version, acting version, whatever it may be.
Like, do you want to do musicals and shit?
I would if I had to.
Could be cool. Do you like Sweeney Todd?
I would do it.
Okay.
But I have to respect that I don't know what I'm doing, so I must understand it at some level.
So, like, what do you see yourself in, like...
There's also a lot of really beautiful women in musical theater.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, 15 years from now, what are you doing?
Fuck. If it was up to me, I'd be doing True West on Broadway. No singing. No dancing. We're doing True West on Broadway with, I don't know, changing it up every night. Being the different brother every night. And then, doing podcasts with my favorite actors. That's all I want to do.
Okay.
That's all I want.
So, like, how are you going to get there?
Well, number one, I'm about a year and 1 month away from auditioning to all the places I want to go to.
So, like, UCLA?
USC.
Southern California, is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Juilliard, NYU, Columbia, maybe UT Austin. Because Austin's kind of exploding right now, but I don't know where Austin's going. I thought about Georgia. Thought about Cal Arts.
My friend went to Cal Arts.
Yeah.
On an oboe scholarship, I think.
Oboe?
Yeah, and then, like, Izzy was like, fuck the oboe, I hate this instrument. I'm going to be a tattoo artist, and now, probably the best tattoo artist I know.
Damn.
Yeah, just quit. Like, had a full ride, dude. Like, went to Interlochen, the whole shebang, on an oboe, and just fuck the oboe. I want to be a tattoo artist. That's the shit I love. That's real. That's balls. On someone who doesn't have balls, by the way. It's my best friend's sister.
Best friend's sister. Of course.
Yeah. Oh God. But yeah, I love when motherfuckers just like they have everything in the bag and they just throw it away and say, "Fuck that! I don't want to do it. I want to do what I want to do." That's hardcore. That's real passion. When you have a path, like when you know you have a safe path, like absolutely, I could just do this I could be in the Air Force for 20 years and retire. Like I could be a fucking electrician. I could be a plumber. I could go to college and become an engineer. Like whatever the fuck. But like that's not who you are. Fuck that shit. Why do it? Do what you want. Do what makes you happy.
Sounds like somebody's fucking over here.
Over in the neighbor's house? Yeah, they're probably banging. Yeah.
I could hear it. I was like, oh, something's going on.
Oh, she got a fat booty.
Really?
Yeah, he's tearing it up.
Nice.
Good for him.
Yep, him and his 20-year enlistment.
Probably, yeah. They had a bunch of kids. Yeah, they're probably making another one right now. They're cute kids, man. They're really nice.
It's always really scared me having babies.
Why? I can't wait. My first son is going to be named Arthur.
Really?
Yes. Just because I think it's a badass name. King Arthur. Arthur, King of the Britons. Like,
my ex-girlfriend wanted to name our son Stone.
That's a weird name.
Wasn't unhappy about it, but I was like, that's a little strange.
She was already planning out baby names before y'all even got to.
Yeah. She weird. Was.
Yeah.
I'm guilty though. I'm guilty too. I liked, for female names, I like Mallory.
Mallory.
Yeah.
Sounds like a fucking stripper or bartender.
What?
Mallory. What's up? What's your name, girl? Mallory. Oh, damn.
Mallory's a classy name.
No, yeah, I'm just fucking with you. That's like my worst fear is having a daughter and then like just being one of those like I'm not even afraid of like her being herself. I'm afraid of me being like that super paranoid dad.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be super paranoid. At least I hope not. But
I mean, I remember. God, I went to this girl's house one time. Her name was Nikki, and her dad met me in the kitchen, and he pulled out the biggest knife you ever saw in your fucking life, dude. Just a razor blade of just massive fucking like hunting knife or some shit, and he just starts cutting up carrots right in front of me. He looks, and he's so cool. He's just chill. And he's just like, "So you like my daughter, right?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir, I do." He's like, "You should see what this thing does to Vienna sausages." And that was all he had to say.
What?
And I was like, yes, sir. And we did not go out after that. No way. But no, I don't want to be, if I had a daughter, I would want her to, like, feel free to, like, be herself, I wouldn't want to inhibit that. But I would also be, like, fucking paranoid because I know what fucking young men are like. I know what I was like. And I hate that guy. I want to kill him. Like, I'll fucking murder him.
What?
Yes, dude. I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. Don't touch my daughter, you little piece of shit. I'm fucking around, but that does scare me. Like, the idea of being that guy is a little terrifying. Because I knew how, like, protective I was over, like, like my sister or my little cousin or something like that. Like, I just like, you fuck up one time. My sister would bring a boyfriend home and I'd be like, just so you know, if you fuck up, I'll fucking kill you. And my brother was the same way. Like, we will both kill you. We'll murder you in your sleep. It doesn't matter. I'm just fucking around.
Your neighbors are definitely fucking.
I mean, why wouldn't they? What's wrong with that?
I don't know. It's just
beautiful.
like, I can notice.
She's probably some fucking hard-ass dude's daughter. And you know what? That guy was like, he didn't back away from the being a sausage speech. He was like, you know what, sir? I'm going to treat your daughter with respect. And I'm going to put babies all up in that fucking pussy.
You have any snacks in here?
I don't know. Like, I've kind of cleaned out the whole house. It's kind of one of those. You want to go out and get food? You want to get Culver's? Is that what you want?
I'm hungry for sure.
Okay. What do you want? You want Beto's?
Shit, I don't know.
You want fucking... You want Panda Express? You want KFC? What do you want?
Shit, I don't know. I'm hungry.
You want some pizza? I got 2 slices of Hawaiian pizza in there.
Hell nah.
Really?
Probably not.
You don't want Hawaiian pizza? Your favorite thing?
Well, you gotta have pepperonis on it instead.
No, that's dumb. So, like, I guess to close this out. So your passion is acting.
Yeah, man. Nothing else, really. I would lie, cheat, and steal.
I believe you. Like, I'm like right on the precipice. I'm like right on the edge of my, like, launch into doing exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Ruined my last relationship, for sure.
That's okay. Ruined my relationship too.
Wouldn't have it any other way, though.
I love what I do. I love it apparently more than I loved anything else. Like, I clearly, whether I thought that or not, I demonstrated it. Like, being a part of what I do, being a producer, being a game designer, whatever the fuck you want to call me. I'm not really a game designer. I'm really more like a producer. Truly, that is the job title that I hold, and it's like, I love it. I feel like I was meant to do this. I feel good at it. I feel useful.
Mm.
And I hope everybody that I cherish, like, gets to feel that way one day. Like, where you just put in the work and do what you want to do. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Some people get caught up in, like, making other people's happy when, if you never found what made you happy, then maybe you found it too late.
I'm really disappointed when I talk to my peers, like in the military especially, who are like, dude, it's so cool that you're doing what you're doing. I could never do that. Like, there's so many people around here. We could never do that. I'm like, why do you say you could never do it? It, like, bothers me. Like, all you have to do is commit to it and put in the work. That's it. That's step 1 and step 2, and that's it. And you will get there. Like, people are so, like, I won't even say addicted. I would say, like, they're petrified of, like, they're addicted to, if anything, they're addicted to security. They value their security over their dreams. And that's what makes most people just end up doing that white picket fence. I want to do what I want to do and provide. If not for anyone else, then just for myself. Like, I don't want to have to sweat it. And I don't think I'm going to have to. I worked my ass off for it. No one can deny that. It's so funny to me, like, I mean, when you first met me, you probably thought I was crazy. Like,
no, I never did.
I mean, people legitimately look at me like I'm like, you're nuts. And
There's not a single time I ever thought you were crazy.
I'm not just saying to you, but I mean, like, people would look at me and be like, what do you do? I'm like, well, I do this little podcast. I run a little company. I'm trying to make games. You know, and I wasn't even actually at the time, like when I started the whole thing, I wasn't trying to make games. I was just interviewing developers, and then it got in my head at one point, like, dude, I've spent so much time talking to people who make games. Like, why don't I just do it myself? Why don't I use what I've created, like this following that I've created, to lift up other people? And literally what I did, like with Stellar Valkyrie, which is what you're working on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I literally, like, I looked at Uber and I saw this guy who was like, all he ever wanted to do was be a game developer. He's so talented, so amazing, so fucking brilliant at what he does. But he's just, like, not commercially, like, meeting his potential, right? Not because he's not good at it, but because he's just not been met with the, opportunity meets preparation. He's prepared, he just hasn't met the opportunity. I look at Scumhead, I see this guy who's just a killer. Like, he's 21 years old, and he's put out, like, more games than most people make in a lifetime. Like, on his own accord, with no one else telling him what to do. And I'm like, what if we just put two and two together? And then that was Stellar Valkyrie. Like, Stellar Valkyrie just was born. And I know that if I can continue to just, like, recognize talent and help people create what they want to create, then that's a business opportunity that I can feel good about. Like, I don't have to even feel guilty about it. Most people do business that they have to feel, like, kind of bad about, If you're, like, Rockefeller or some, like, oil giant or whatever, like, yeah, you probably don't feel bad about it because you're making so much money, but, like, yeah, you make $1 million, but you're polluting the earth and being a piece of shit probably to a lot of people. I don't want to feel that way. I want to help people do what they want to do. And I feel good about it. And so Stellar Valkyrie, epic. I don't care how it sells, as long as they get what they want out of it. As long as it gets a good credit on your name, on Ben's name, on fucking Michael's name, on Sam's name, on my name, like, whatever. And Call of Saregnar's demo is going to drop. Like, probably by the time you release this, it will already have hit. Because it's going to drop on Christmas. And, like,
I'll put it in the fucking link, son.
It's going to be epic.
Hell yeah.
People are going to shit their pants. And I don't even care. It's just going to be epic. I love the fact that what I do is helping other people accomplish their dreams. No matter what it is. You came to me, we met at a party, and you were like, I want to be an actor. And I was like, I don't know that this is exactly what you want to do, but I have an opportunity for you to be an actor. And you can be useful to me, and I can be useful to you, and we can mutually help each other accomplish your dreams. Perfect. That's what I do. That's my job. I love that. I cherish that, and I know I can make a living at it.
Well, Ty, it's been fucking awesome having this conversation with you. And I really appreciate your time. Thanks for having this podcast with me, and I'm going to miss you, man.
You're gay. I'm just kidding. I love you too. This has been awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Peace out.